Okay, so you join me for the next 48 hours on Clover Lake on the Coking Farm complex. This lake is around about 4 acres in size, 650 fish, ranging anything really from £10 up to £30. Myself and Joe got here earlier on. We've sorted all the rods out, we've found us spots. So I had a quick flick around with a deeper. Seems to be very much of a uniform depth. The only thing that we did notice is the actual islands, they do seem to shelf off. So if you are trying to fish quite tight to them, the leads and the solid bags, etc., that we're using are just going to roll straight down them. So we've had to come off them by about 3 or 4 foot. With the whole furlough era coming towards an end now, this is still an incredibly busy day ticket water. So we're going to have to use some different tactics to make sure that we're doing something a little bit different than the guy next door to ensure that them bites do keep coming. What I'm going to do now though, is I'm going to keep watching the water, see if anything does show itself, make myself a brew, get some tea, and hopefully we'll see you very soon with a fish. So, just slipped one in the net now. I just come back down to the spot as I was just going to put a little bit of bait in. There's still quite a lot of fish here. You can see them fizzing up, seeing a bit of bubbling and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this down here a second, grab my bucket of bait, and I'm literally just going to put 2 scoops of bait just over the spot just to try and semi-spook them out of the area, to then hopefully be able to get another rod in and get another bite. So we're off the mark finally. First light broke this morning, and around about an hour after, my margin rod is ripped off with this one. It's probably around about £10. Yeah, I've introduced a little bit more bait and put the rod back out now. There's still fish feeding down there. We can still see a few bubbles and stuff coming up. So let's slip this one back and hopefully we'll get another one before the day's out. Okay, so I've had a little bit of a change of plan now. The guy to the right hand side of me's just moved, and there's a lot more open water down that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a rod just down to the tip of the island, where we've seen a few fish showing, just until somebody turns up, and yeah, hopefully we can bag one just before the mad rush starts. Okay, so as you can probably see from behind me, the opportunity that we had of putting a rig a little bit more into open water quickly went. There's 3 anglers that have turned up, so I've had to bring that rod back to where it was. But what I'm going to do now is just show you through the rig of what I caught the fish on this morning, just to see if it gives you any little hints or tips. But very, very simple rig. It's just the 𝗙𝗏𝗏 dark matter braid. It's got a large sinker on there. It's around about 1 inch of shrink tubing, with a gap of roughly around about 1 inch again. The only thing that I do a little bit different is I like to whip on basically an IQD, but still use the supple coated braid as my actual boom section. That's just tipped off with a 15mm Atlantic crab from Mistral and the isotonic pop-up in a little 10mm, and that just flutters down very nicely and gives me that presentation on the bottom, and I just tie that on using some bait floss. So my main reasoning behind using this rig is I'm just trying to be a little bit different. I'd probably say around about 90% of the anglers on here do use solid bags. The house pellet does get fed into the lake quite a lot, but I just wanted to, like I said, to be that little bit different and just try a different approach. When we were speaking to the bailiffs, they were saying to us that a vast majority of the stock hadn't been caught. So by using this, I was hoping that I'd be able to trip up some of them wary fish and put another couple more on the bank. Since we've been here, there's only been 2 other fish that were caught, one by the lad up the bank and one early this morning. So it is working. I know they're fishing solid bags, and let's hopefully see that if we can have a few more throughout the session. Well, completely randomly out the blue, we've had a few bleeps and stuff this afternoon, but nothing that's made us thought that we were going to catch. And then literally, Joe's just wandered back over to his swim, and yeah, it completely ripped off. Probably one of the best one-toners I've had in a long time. But yeah, it looks like a nice scaly one again. Let's hopefully tease him around here. Come on. And then he goes. Sweet. Well, they aren't getting any bigger, but they're definitely getting better looking. This one's come on the middle rod that was just placed out into open water with around about 50 baits around it. It just started to rain. It's been quite windy today, a lot more overcast than it was yesterday. And yeah, hopefully the fish are now going to start playing ball. It's the second one of the session now. Atlantic crab and the isotonic pop-ups doing the business again. So let's slip him back and hopefully we'll get another one soon. It's been a couple of hours since we had that fish now. I'm happy with all the rigs, but what I want to do is just introduce a little bit more bait, just to try and stimulate that feeding response that little bit more, and just see if we can get another fish on the bank before dark. Just talking you through my mix now. So it's the Atlantic crab from Mistral Baits. It's in a 10 and 12 mil form. I've got some of the house pellets, and what I've also done is I've introduced a little bit of hemp as well. The reason why I've done that is because with them being pack fish, when they come around, I want to hold them in place, so I've got a chance to get that fish in, get the rig out the fish, and basically get a fresh bait on and get something back out there as soon as possible, and hope that they're still feeding on the bits and bobs that are still in the swim. Hence why I'm using them small baits, just to try and hold them fish and give me another chance of getting a bite. So let's put some of that bait in now. Well, we're into the final morning, and once again the margin rod's roared off. This little dumpy fat thing, check him out, and then massive big scales. He's wicked. He'll grow on in a few years. I'm going to get the rod back out very quickly, and then hopefully we can get another one before we go. We've got to be off at around about 12:30, so I want to try and make the most of these next couple of hours and make sure that we get the best out of it, and hopefully we can bank another fish or two. As I said just before we put that fish back, what I do want to do is try and make the most of these last couple of hours, and just seen a fish roll and a little bit of fizzing that's come up just off the side of the island now. So I'm just going to flip this rod out, try and get it bang on the spot first time, and hopefully we can bring this rod into play, because it's the only rod that I've not had any bites or anything on yet. So let's get it out there and hopefully we can get another one. Well, that brings the session to a close now. 3 runs, 3 fish landed. Seems to have gone down very well. Did expect a few more, to be honest, with there being around about 650 fish in here. I expected it to be a lot more prolific, but with, I think, a lot of the pressure, like we mentioned before, with the whole furlough era, it's just an extremely busy day ticket water. So yeah, we've heard there's been a couple more fish out, but I don't think anybody's had 3. I think there's been 1s, maybe 2s, but
yeah, I think if you can take anything from this, it would be, if you are coming to day ticket waters that are incredibly busy, just try and do something a little bit different, whether that be with bait, whether that be with rigs, and just try and unlock that code, because it will basically mean the difference between having a blank or going home with three beautiful fish under your belt.